This is an authoritarian regime. They control the levers of power, and they're able to, in the words of many eyewitnesses, to manipulate the vote.
Welcome back to Moose and Loose. In today's top stories, we've got potential election fraud in Venezuela. Now, Nicolas Maduro, who's been running the country for a while, this will be his third election win. And it seems like it's fraud. There's a lot of data to show that 70% of the population voted for the opposition, yet somehow he came away with a 51% to 44% win in the election. America's calling it out as election fraud. And is Justin Trudeau taking notes with his notepad?
Nicholas, buddy, how did you do it?
Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro has now been declared the winner in the country's disputed election, marking his third term. Several foreign governments, including the U.S., held off recognizing the results as election officials delayed releasing the tallies. But the National Electoral Council says Maduro garnered 51% of the vote, and his opponent, retired diplomat Edmundo Gonzalez, 44%. Here's Secretary of State Antony Blinken.
We have serious concerns that the result announced does not reflect the will or the votes of the Venezuelan people. It's critical that every vote be counted fairly and transparently, that election officials immediately share information with the opposition and independent observers without delay, and that the electoral authorities publish the detailed tabulation of votes.
We know that Maduro and Gonzalez, this was a very contentious race, right? They were locked in a high-stakes standoff, with each side claiming victory before those tallies were even released. So what is the latest right now?
Yeah, I mean, in some senses, that standoff still goes on because both sides believe that they won. I mean, you mentioned the Election Council earlier that announced the official results, 51% to Nicolas Maduro, 44% to Edmundo Gonzalez. However, that council is controlled by the Nicolas Maduro government. I think what the opposition felt was as they were starting to get their own results, this is from paper-verified results, inside those election stations, that they were well ahead in the polls, and when the official result was announced, I think it was a total shock for them. So I don't think any side is ready to concede, but we've seen the hand that Nicolas Maduro plays. I saw it myself back in 2018 inside the country. This is an authoritarian regime. They control the levers of power, and they're able to, in the words of many eyewitnesses, to manipulate the vote.
And Ian, there were a lot of concerns about this being a fair race, a fair election. There were widespread reports of irregularities in the results. So how are officials there ensuring a fair election, and could we see a recount?
Yeah, I mean, this is part of the problem, again, with an election in a country like this, is it's hard for independent witnesses to verify the election. And essentially what you've got is a two-stage count. You've got the digital vote, and then you've got the paper vote. And it's those paper tallies, which are generally taken by the opposition, by others, to verify the digital count. And those irregularities you talk about, in a lot of cases, those paper results were not released to the opposition. From the papers that they did manage to glean, they said they had 70% of the vote, which is why the de facto leader of the opposition said that the result was impossible.
Something to note that Nicolas Maduro, he's been running that country so badly into the ground. Probably heard of their currency becoming absolutely worthless. People were like stacking it and burning it and doing all sorts of things with it, making things out of the money because it was so worthless. He's driven out nearly 8 million people out of the country. That's how bad it is. There's still 30 million people in Venezuela, but obviously if things are that terrible and people go to vote, probably he's not going to stay in power. So this very much seems like he rigged the election. You know, had a couple guys come in the back door with a big sack over their shoulder with a bunch of votes and just chuck those in. This is corruption at its best here. We take a look here at this article. He says, you know, he's declared winner. He has his little speech here.
Puedo decir ante el pueblo de Venezuela y ante el mundo: soy Nicolás Maduro Moro, presidente reelecto de la República Bolivariana de Venezuela.
Anyone who talks like that, I am Nicolas Maduro, blah, blah, like it's this narcissism at its best. Like, who is this guy? Like, who does he think he is? You walk around talking like that. The arrogance and the ego are unbelievable. Captain Dictator here.
lo que ocurrió en la jornada electoral de hoy, al punto de que aún no han sido entregadas la mayoría de las actas.
En que Edmundo González Urrutia obtuvo.
So basically he's saying that his election fraud is a violation of the rules. Maduro is a big fraud. Are you going to see Trudeau at his next rally doing that?
I am Justin Trudeau, the greatest prime minister ever.
Stop giving him ideas, Maduro.
El 70% de los votos de esta elección. Y Nicolás Maduro el 30% de los votos. Esta es la verdad.
Serious, they're saying they got 70%. They're saying Nicholas got 30%. This just stinks of corruption. What happens from here? I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people in that country. 30 million people. People are probably tired of it. Probably people are waiting for the vote to come so they can do this in a very peaceful manner. But I'm guessing that people aren't going to be peaceful after this. Some people are just going to try to leave. And that's what they're talking about here. There's going to be this big exodus of people leaving Venezuela. But are other people going to take to other measures to try to fight back against Nicolas Maduro? That's what, like, I don't know how the guy feels comfortable at night when you rig an election and there's millions of people that are put into suffering. I don't know. These guys, their egos, these narcissists are unbelievable. Even right here, coming from Maduro himself, it says, in controversial remarks, Maduro last week warned his supporters of a bloodbath and fratricidal civil war should he lose the vote. Like, he knew he was going to lose. He's trying to get his supporters to stand up for him. The UK is the latest country to cite serious irregularities in the vote counting process and the call for the publication of detailed results. He's not going to release those results. It says U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris offered her support to Venezuelans. I mean, America, like, they got their situation too. You know, someone just took a go at Trump there, and it seems like he was very much supported by the government. So, I mean, this corruption is running wild. Even just scrolling down here, like, look at this guy. He thinks he's a rock star. This is like an older Trudeau. We fought against this dictatorship for 25 years. A Venezuelan migrant said, now living in Mexico. We demand the international community to act. Today, we want Venezuela to be free and respect the people's decision. So it says, 7.7 million Venezuelans have left since 2014, marking it one of the largest displacement crises in the world. People continue to leave at an average of 2,000 per day. There you have it. Quite a broken election there. This seems just unbelievable, like fraud at its best. One thing we need to look at here with Justin Trudeau in Canada is, why is he not worried about his polling numbers? Does he have something up his sleeve? Is he going to somehow rig our election? So if we go back to this interview here with Keean Bexte on the beach and Justin Trudeau, he's asked, it says right here, are you looking for a replacement right now? And then he asked him, are you worried about his polling numbers?
Are you looking for a replacement right now?
No, I am absolutely not. I am running in the next election.
Are you concerned at all about your poll numbers?
No, I am not.
What causes you to not be concerned?
Because I spend a lot of time talking with Canadians. A lot of time, focusing on the things that we're doing to actually deliver for people.
Does it not concern you that wherever...
Like this here, he says he talks to a lot of Canadians. Which Canadians are he talking to? Because the majority of us don't want him in. Like, if you just look at, put the Liberals aside, right? You would then have all the rest of the parties. That, not only is it just the Conservatives at 42%, but you'd have the NDP at 18 or 20%, the Greens, the Bloc. That is the majority of Canadians, not the Liberals. The Liberals are only 24%. They're literally not the majority, the 25, 24, the rest is 75%. So who is he talking to? What does he have up his sleeve? What plan does he have? Because this is something that really needs to be considered. The fact that Keean's cameraman here then brings this up, is it not a concern that wherever you go, you get a lot of backlash because of what you're doing to the country? This is a great, like, ad-lib question here, and look at his response.
Where you go, you get a lot of backlash because of what you're doing to the country.
What concerns me is I can't bring my kids.
What concerns him is he can't bring his kids to the beach. He doesn't give a crap about Canadians. This is such a telling scene. And what does he have up his sleeve? He does not care about any of this, but he just wants to make a ton of money. He just wants to keep doing whatever he's doing in the back end there. All these scandals keep floating to the top. Think of how many scandals they found and how many that we haven't found. That's what... Like, that's what's appalling here. Trudeau not being worried, he's either lying or he's got something up his sleeve. So we need to really look at this, because something is not adding up. And we start seeing countries like Venezuela where they're just doing election fraud. I don't know. Something's fishy. That's where we wrap up this episode. Just a quick one here. I've got a video coming out tomorrow. I had one ready, but you know, it has to go through the approval process on my main channel. So be sure to subscribe here on my second channel. We'll keep building this up as an extra layer of support. There's also other news coming down that groups are getting deleted off of FB. So my group on FB might one day just completely disappear. So I'm thinking of other solutions, maybe going to Discord or something else, just as another backup. I mean, there's just so much suppression of free speech. It's getting ridiculous. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys thought about this, Venezuela, this election. Is this what's going to happen in Canada? I mean, something to think about. Be sure to subscribe, hit the thumbs up. We're going to keep fighting for freedom. I'll see you guys in the next one.